This is very interesting flower setting, isn't it? It's beautiful. Tropical flowers, plants. Good evening. Anyone here for the first time for this meditation? And but you have been doing meditation? Some meditation? Yes. How about it? Yes? First time. Brand new. It's a good place to begin. We have started these Thursday sessions primarily for compassion meditation, but it has become quite clear that to do straight compassion meditation, I think it's a little bit complicated, because there are certain steps involved in compassion meditation, and if ideally, let me say, if you have gone through a course in compassion training, that certainly makes it easier and richer, and to know how to immerse oneself in that practice, as we have a space to do like an hour or half an hour, so without having gone through a full course of compassion training, it ends up becoming a little bit superficial, if the person leading, like myself or some others who are trained in this form of meditation, to kind of go through these steps, those just become words, then if you are not able to connect what is conveyed by those specific instructions, then it becomes a little bit dry, so ideally, what you want to do is to take, go through that course. Eventually, if you are interested, in reaching this practice, that would be the way to do that. As some of you have done, I know that several of you are doing. Wouldn't you think so? Yeah, that's, so it's, because you have been running these sessions, but then going through the course kind of adds to it. Thinking of really kind of immersing into this, you may at some point want to take that opportunity to go through the course. But as I said, that these meditation sessions on Thursday evenings here are, although intended to create a space for people to come and immerse in that compassion experience or cultivation of compassion, but it's somewhat open-ended, that whatever practices the participants bring with them, whichever practice that they do, it's to create a space that where you can then engage in those practices, and then to have some discussions. That having said, then if it is helpful, you can still follow some of these instructions, guided kind of instructions. If you already have a practice that this is what you want, to use this space and time to immerse in that, you just need to ignore that what is being said here by me, that in the meditation, and then just do the meditation. What I would do for this half an hour of meditation that we will do, keep the instructions to minimum so that it doesn't interfere with your own meditation if you choose to focus on a certain aspects of meditation on your own. But I will lead through some of the kind of the key parts of the meditation as you see it, and if you are with me, joining me in this kind of process, then you can use those as a kind of the places to anchor your practice and move kind of step 1 to 2, 3, and like that. So let me name them, so that you can anticipate what might be coming, and in a kind of minimum way. So number 1, it's the first step that we would do is it would be focused around settling our mind here in the present moment. That the mind is, if you had a busy day, it would maybe still kind of quite running around, busy. So it's a kind of to quiet that noise and to kind of create that state of being, state of mind that is present here. And that we will do it with the mindfulness of breathing, just simply anchoring our attention, our awareness with our breath, resting it with our breath as we breathe in and out. Of course you want to maintain a certain degree of alertness, it's awareness, if you will, to monitor, if you will, the activities of your mind. That if you are present with the breath, just aware of each incoming and outgoing, or if you are becoming involved with some thoughts, some events in the future, anticipations, positively or negatively, or some reliving of some events of the past through memories and like that, where if your attention becomes kind of distracted by those thoughts, feelings, and so forth. So when you notice, you want to notice that, and then just gently bring the attention back to the breath, and then rest it with the breath. That itself is like a turbulent water. When the winds kind of, making the water turbulent begin to calm, the water will become calm and still, and with that would come clarity. If there are mud and so forth and so on, will kind of settle. And then same thing when our inner state is when it's not just kind of running from one thing to another, and sort of becoming entangled with this and that, and this should have been this, shouldn't have happened, and all those things kind of that when you let such this kind of distractions settle, calm, by just bringing repeatedly your attention to the present, to the breath, then you will have that same quality or of calmness, stillness, peace, joy, that quality of being more present in the present moment. So that's what we will do, that for a few moments. I would want then, if you were to join in the compassion part, to then with a state of mind that is present as best as we can to bring it to, then from then the really attuned to it's not like thinking in your head, but to attune to your aspirations. What are your deepest goals and aspirations? Of course there will be many, but to come to recognize, come to this awareness, where to notice that we want to be happy, to flourish. Not happy in the sense of like to go jump up and down, not in that sense, but a life characterized by deep sense of fulfillment, sense of flourishing. It's something that's deep in our hearts, and to avoid or to life that is free of distress, the agitations or the unhappiness, dissatisfactions. So in the compassion meditation, it's helpful for us to be in touch with our own those fundamental aspirations to flourish and to be free of suffering. That's how deep that is our aspirations. Sort of connect with that. That's one thing we could do. You may, once you recognize, once you come to our deepest honest aspirations, that as we become, then actually that to connect with the moment, when actually any degree of that sense of being secure, sense of being joyous, happy, that you have, that you may have experienced, that when you are sitting in your mother's lap as a baby, 2-year or 3-year, or a good friend when you are really having a hard time, difficult time, that having all kinds of things going wrong, that just a friend that was there to kind of be with you after that long day of kind of things that were, or to just was there, who can see you, who you feel that the person, you feel someone who is there to just to embrace you, to be with you with no judgments, with no what it felt, how it felt to be perceived, be acknowledged, to be cared for in this. It doesn't need to be a huge moment, like that, something like that, or that even that when we have heard some bad news, whether either diagnosed with some kind of illness or some loss of loved one, or some other things and like that, if that someone who was there, who kind of was there to be with us, could kind of share that moment of kind of difficult time that we were going through, that who provided that kind of almost unconditional, that just caring, listening to us. I mean, those, in the very sense of flourishing, of being secure, or peace and happiness that we are aspiring, we have to find in those little moments that we actually have received, to sort of connect in that moment for a few moments, so that we can appreciate the value of such caring. That how it is so nurturing. That those suffering that we talk, that whether it's from being told you have certain illness, or to be having, lost some close one, or any number of kind of the things that happen, that in those moments of how our hearts are broken, in those moments when such presence of such people's caring, that presence, how soothing, how comforting, how precious they are, just to value how precious they are, so that we can have this, not told by someone in our head, but in our heart we can have a sense that of how valuable it will to expand that kind of warmth in our own hearts that we can also extend towards others, right? That's the initial motivation, I think that. So we can begin with that, and because of the shortage of time, then we will bring immediately, because our goal is to expand our compassion and love, this kind of warmth towards others, not just one person, but to be able to expand it. Then we will begin with 3 people, three, not abstract kind of, but 3 people where we know them. You may even know their names even, that someone who is close to you, someone who is a stranger, but you know them, the stranger or neutral doesn't mean that you have no feelings at all, no extreme feelings of dislike or kind of attachment, that someone like that. For that, everyone here, I can kind of think that we could relate to each other in that without necessarily, to extreme attachment or aversions, right? So that's, often I hear that when to bring a stranger, it's kind of hard to find a stranger, that with no likes and dislikes. But I'm not talking about kind of just no any kind of, feelings. It's the extreme feelings, extreme kind of extremes of dislike or extremes of attachment, that. And then also that takes someone who you really are kind of very close, that you can't, it's often you can't tolerate that even someone saying something little bit unpleasant to this person kind of hurts, you become offended. Whether it's because of your religious affiliation, your nationalistic affiliation, your racial affiliation, or whatever, there's someone who you are so protective, so kind of close, and then there's someone who you feel, kind of somewhat kind of difficult to deal with. Doesn't need to be a very, very kind of deadly enemy or like that. Someone who just annoys you. It could be a co-worker. A co-worker is a neighbor, or someone. It could even be some family member, right? Like that. That sibling. Like that. Sometimes that can. So in some cases, unfortunately, that can happen, like that. So you just bring, such, if you have certain kind of people that you have certain feeling of adversary. But goal here for us if we appreciated that warm-heartedness, where being able to kind of to be able to receive us without judgments and so forth. That one moment that that when we had that, how precious it is. If that's what we want to cultivate, then we can begin with recognizing these three people also are no different than us in their deep in their hearts and minds, with carrying the same aspirations to be happy and to be free from suffering. To see if we can embrace that fact, and thus have a sense of embracing the fact that they have the same right to be happy, to pursue for happiness as we do. Does that make sense? So these are. I'm putting it in words. You have to translate it into your hearts. That's the compassion is about feeling. It's about experience. So we can point to the moon. As long as we remain stuck to the finger, you would not see the moon. You have to use the moon to, as the indicator. The words are just indicators. You have to kind of, use those to point or lead to those feelings, experience, and then it's not going to be a huge eureka moment, that right from the first time. But if we do engage little by little, the experience will deepen, and that's what the purpose of compassion, that the meditation is, familiarization, the deepening immersion, deeper immersion of these experiences. Let's begin with adjusting our physical posture, bringing the back in upright position. If you are sitting in cushions, sit with the legs kind of crossed, in a comfortable position, bringing the back in upright position. If you are sitting in the chairs, just putting the feet flat on the floor, so that in that way your body is kind of still, where you don't have to think about holding it upright position, but nicely sort of settled in that position. With the back upright position, just bringing fully in upright position. And then instead of holding it there intentionally, just once placed in upright position, let it settle there. Hands in the meditation posture, palms just gently resting on your knees. Or if it feels more comfortable to fold the hands, you may fold them with the left on the bottom, right on the top, and thumbs slightly touching, placing the folded hand in your lap. Placing shoulders also in a level position, just slightly raised and pulled back initially, and then let them settle there also. Instead of holding in that position, sort of deliberately or intentionally. Head slightly inclined, so the chin just tucked inside a little bit. Eyes cast downwards. If they are not too distracting, just vacantly, cast downwards without focusing on any particular thing. But if they become too distracting, you may close them. Close your eyes. And lips and teeth in natural position, gently touching. With these physical postures that facilitate the clarity and the stability of the mind.